Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, what's going on?
Man, I am excited.
You're excited?
Yeah.
You're excited to be in studio? You're excited for the week to be
I'm excited the week is over. Week one of the year is done.
You know, it was a 4-day work week, but still seemed like it was very long.
It was long, man.
For a 4-day.
Very long.
The first work week of the year.
First week of the year. Very
51
long.
left to go, man.
That's it. Go by fast.
They do. They actually do. So how was your New Year's?
It's good.
Do anything special?
No.
All right, then.
Well, you know, I'm still getting over that diverticulitis.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were sick.
Yeah.
I actually had a really good one. You know, my wife got us tickets to go down to the Kentucky Wildcat game. We stayed at the hotel there. We actually...
Is that a basketball team or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Of some note.
They're like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just okay.
They know how to pass the ball a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you remember me talking to you, and I talked about it on the episode, the artist guy that's a real big fan of the show.
Sure.
That sent me the John Calipari thing.
Right.
So he emailed me the other day after the Cullen Davis episode came out. You remember in that case, the judge was Richard Racehorse Haynes.
Right.
And this artist, and he's an amazing artist. He sent me a picture. He had actually drawn Richard Racehorse Haynes.
Oh.
For like this, I don't know, I forget what he called it. Not like the Hall of Fame, but like the Ring of Honor of attorneys or something.
Defensive attorneys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually a portrait of him.
That's cool. I'm still waiting for my Urban Meyer.
Is that who you're wanting?
Ohio State, man.
I like it.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, it's kind of a connection, you know, to a case that we had just done.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. So we have some new Patreon supporters starting out first week of the year. We had Cindy Krause, Casey Smith came out at their highest level, Lainey Butler, Laura Leah Williams.
That's a long name.
Rebecca Flores Holdaway.
Oh, even longer name. You just got trumped.
A little bit longer. Liz Skinner, Jen Armstrong, Constance Smith came out at our highest level. J.A. Prize.
J.A. You just stopped at the A. That's all you had to do.
Just called him J.A.
Well, it could be a she.
It could be.
You don't know.
I don't know. You're right. Melanie Milbury, Maddie Timmy.
Maddie Timmy.
Yep. And Maddie was awesome because she sent me an email and said, hey, this is how you say my name.
Maddie Timmy.
Like Timmy.
From England.
I don't know that she's from England.
Australia.
I don't know that she's from Australia.
Scottish.
I don't know that she's Scottish at all.
I don't know what all those voices were either.
Sophie Bomer, Carolyn Markley, Carrie Boys. Yeah, boys.
Boys in the hood.
And then if we go back into the vault, Gibbs, this week we selected Kirby Raycraft. Cool name.
Sure.
Been with us a long time supporter.
Craycraft.
Craycraft.
Raycraft.
Raycraft.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I thought you said Craycraft.
You did.
No, I said Kirby Raycraft.
No, I said Raycraft.
I don't know what you said. But anyway, appreciate Kirby for his longtime support.
Absolutely.
We appreciate all the new supporters and all the people that continue to support us month after month.
Awesome.
Definitely. And then on PayPal, we actually had quite a few donations as well. We had Karen Spence, Elizabeth Armour, Max Estinger, and Deanna Smiley.
Oh, yeah, Deanna.
Yeah, you remember Deanna?
Yeah, sure do.
She's got some gifts coming her way. Lori Rodley and Christopher Flynn.
Quite a group there.
Yeah, it's awesome. All the support is amazing. A lot of
social media people on there, too.
There is, always a lot of social media. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of our social media fans for talking about us, getting their friends into the show. I'm getting a lot of emails.
I'm backed up on replying to a lot of things.
I am too.
And the reviews and all that.
It's getting harder because there's just so many more people, but we love it.
Thankfully, we got a good group of moderators and administrators on those to help us out. All of them have been wonderful. I mean, but the group has really taken off. Then the TCAT family group took off, and then Kristen, a.k.a. Joan Crawford, and Haley started a TCAT Fit page as well, and it's taken off.
Now they're shaming me to try to get me into shape, man. I'm starting this week.
After you get your TV that you can watch while you
I got to get a TV for the workout room and get that up.
Can't hate, you got to do what you got to do.
Might put a PlayStation in there too, but other than that,
and a couch.
It's going to be all workout all the time.
Yeah. You already got all the equipment.
I do. I have everything.
It's like NASA training room in there.
Is that the same as like NASA?
Yeah.
Did you say Nassau?
Nassau. I'm thinking like Nassau, Bahamas.
Bahamas?
Yeah.
It's a Bahamas train.
That's right. It's like a Bahamas.
Oh, Gibbs. It's going to be one of those.
Good stuff.
All right. So after you listen to this, if you haven't already, make sure you check out True Crime All the Time. There's an episode out right now on Charles Ray Hatcher. Not a household name. This is a bad guy.
Bad dude.
Murdered probably at least 16 people, at least.
Yeah.
And it's just not a name that you hear a lot about. There's not a lot out there about him. It was a tough research for sure. All right, but let's get into this episode because we got a real mystery, murder mystery. And we're talking about a man named Blair Adams, and we're going back to 96.
Yeah, I would have been 30 years old on that day.
On what day? July 11th?
Yeah, I would have been.
Is that your birthday?
That is my birthday.
I didn't know that.
I keep it secret. I don't want a lot of people to know.
You just put it out on the podcast.
Yeah. Besides those, don't tell anybody.
Gibby's birthday is July 11th.
Yeah.
And that's the day we're talking about. July 11th, 1996. Gibby was 53 years old. Like
30.
Like he said. And this is a Canadian man, Blair Adams.
Yeah.
Very kind guy, ambitious guy. He's found dead.
He is.
In, of all places, Knox County, Tennessee, near Knoxville.
Yeah. I go there a lot.
Yeah, I love Knoxville.
Yeah, I've been going to Knoxville and Norris Lake. Well, I used to own a place down there.
Yeah, I know you've been down there quite a bit.
Yeah.
But just think, that's a long way from this guy's home in Canada.
It is.
And as we're going to find out, it's part of the mystery. Why is this guy even in Knox County, Tennessee? He's found dead, beaten to death, but there's going to be a lot of mystery around this in, Gibbs, what they find.
Sure.
Not just how, and we'll get into the specifics later on in the episode, but not just how his body is found, but the items that are found around the body.
Yeah. It makes you wonder.
It really does. It really does. Police initially, they don't think that he has any connections in Tennessee. I think it's going to come out that he doesn't.
Yeah, I think they realize that there's just no rhyme or reason.
No family, nothing.
Nothing. Besides just the, timeline that we'll throw out there and potential reasons of where he was headed that might have been why.
We have to start out talking about Blair. 31 years old. He was a construction foreman, and he was well liked by everybody that knew him. In fact, Gibbs, I don't believe that there was a family member, a friend, or a coworker that would come out and say anything negative about Blair Adams. Now, the family and friends, that does not surprise me. Right? Somebody dies, your family and your friends, they're not going to come out and
Trash
you and say negative things about you.
That Ferguson.
But there's always someone at work, right, that you've pissed off.
Oh, absolutely.
That's going to come out maybe and say something negative about you, going to badmouth you, even after death.
That son of a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never liked that guy. He was mean to me. But Blair Adams, he was described as a friendly guy, energetic, would go out of his way to help, a person in need. But in a lot of ways, Gibbs, Blair Adams had a new lease on life. He was an alcoholic, but had stopped drinking and had been attending AA meetings for a couple of years. But sometime before his death, things in his life, they started to change because this friendly person, this cheerful person that a lot of people would come out and talk about, he went away. It's like he was gone. And in his place was a guy that was having a lot of anxiety, constant mood swings. And on top of that, he started to do things that were not typical, right? Not things that people would have said that he would have done. He started leaving the construction site open, forgetting to lock up things. So there were thefts because of things that he failed to do. That wasn't him before all of this.
Right.
So I guess what I'm trying to get across is his life kind of all of a sudden, and I don't know how, if it was all of a sudden.
Flip the script.
Yeah, it really changed dramatically.
Right. I mean, he wasn't even picking up his paycheck.
And that is very strange for anyone.
Yeah. Back then, who wouldn't have picked up their paycheck,
Or now.
Well, now it's like...
Now it's usually direct deposit.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Now, I don't look to make sure it gets direct deposit. I just assume it's there.
I mean, when you make as much money as you do, Gibbs, you don't even need to look at it. You're just like flush.
Yeah, there it is.
You get so much, it's like, whatever.
Yeah. Just forget to look.
If it's a $4,000 or $5,000 short one week.
As long as they keep taking that card,
yeah,
they don't hand it back yet. They don't say, "Here, sorry, mister, there's not enough."
That's the time you know something's wrong, right?
That's right.
When they say something's wrong with your card. But that is odd to all of a sudden stop picking up your paycheck. Like you got just so much money you don't need it.
You can only dream. You can only dream.
Oh yeah, I wish I win one of those big lotteries. Then I won't pick up my paycheck.
That's right. You still would.
No, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't even bother going.
You'd have your driver go get it.
My driver. Yeah, I'd have you go get it.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
You could be my driver.
All right.
But people would come out later after the death of Blair Adams, and they would say that, he was making some strange comments, including some like, he didn't want to carry on in his job. He didn't want to live in that community anymore. And some of his coworkers, they were suggesting to him that he needed to go see a doctor. That's how strange that his behavior was to them, to people that knew him.
Sure. That they called it out on him and said, "Hey, man, you all right?
You're not right. You need to go see somebody.
Get some drugs and get your balance back in."
But that's not the worst part of his behavior, because then at a certain point in time, he started to tell people around him that someone was out to get him. They were coming to kill him.
Paranoia.
Yeah, so he became very paranoid. He allegedly told his grandma that people around town were talking about him, spreading rumors.
Well, that might have been true.
Well, that could have been
some of the
true.
workers,
especially if he was acting very strangely. But I think you said the word paranoid. He became extremely paranoid. And because of this, he started sleeping less and less. And, like we said, those people around him, not just at work, but everyone around him, they could tell that something was very wrong. And I talked about the mood swings. And I think you hear that term mood swing and you think, all right, today I'm having a bad day. I'm a little melancholy. This is not how these were described. These were described as wild, very, very high, very, very low. These were wild, radical mood swings This wasn't just a bad day.
Right.
Or, bad week at work. He was having some various serious problems. And his mother especially started to notice the changes. And when she asked Blair about what was wrong, he told her, quote, "I don't think I should tell you about it." Now, at the time, right, she's not thinking that something this bad is going to happen to him. But after the fact, that becomes a very intriguing statement. After what we know happens. So talking about that day of July 11th, 1996, the body of Blair Adams would be found by some workers, and it's going to be found in a parking lot at this hotel that's under construction. So this happened about 7 a.m. in the morning, and these two guys, you have to imagine this, Gibbs. Two guys starting their day working construction, and they find a dead body. And it was described that, Blair Adams was found basically half nude. His shirt was ripped open, no pants. Like we said, he's 1,000 miles away from his home in British Columbia, Canada. And they also find a fanny pack that has gold bars, gold coins, jewelry, cash, quite a bit of cash. And it's made up of Canadian, German, American currency. The local sheriff Gibbs would come out and say that he had never seen anything like this. Socks and shoes were off, socks spread out on the pavement. They found a set of car keys. They found a key card to a local hotel room. The police would come out and theorize about what they were seeing at the scene is that it almost looked like as he was, I guess you'd call it fighting for his life, he had maybe grabbed one of his shoes and put it under his head as a pillow.
Wow.
The police also recovered a black duffel bag, and the bag contained several maps, had some receipts from travel. And again, we're going to get into all these details, right? This is kind of a primer for about what's to come. But this fanny pack is very interesting, and we're going to talk about it a bunch because it was full of valuables.
It really was. It had those little gold bars in it and those platinum. Platinum is expensive, man.
Jewelry and, like you said, bars and things. It was worth quite a bit of money. And the fact that it was still there.
Invisible.
And yeah, right. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't one of those concealed fanny packs.
Yeah, and it was unzipped. So,
almost like somebody had looked into it.
And decided, well, I
don't need all this gold.
Yeah. I don't need no gold.
I'm not going to take it with me.
I'm going to leave it here.
So police say that it appeared that nothing was taken. Now, it would come out that there was $110 missing because a construction worker would later turn it in and say that, he grabbed it up off the ground. I don't know if his conscience got the better of him, Gibbs, or what, but he turned it in.
Well, $110.
For what was there, that was a very small amount.
Yeah. So he returned it all because it's an odd amount to return.
It is $110.
Oh, yeah, I found 110.
Or he took 150.
Yeah. I took 1,000. Here's the 100 back.
Now, the autopsy would later show that Blair Adams was attacked and died from a fatal blow to his stomach. This is not the kind of murder description, wound, autopsy that we are used to talking about.
No, we're not used to fatal blows to the gut area.
This is like you get punched so hard in the gut or in just the right spot that it ruptures. This is what they think.
Right.
Something along these lines happened.
It's like taking a fist from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, it ruptured, and they believe that it caused septic shock. Now, they think it could have been a crowbar, it could have been a billy club, a bat, and he also had a pretty good wound to the head, and which they believe was caused most likely by this same type of instrument. But one thing they figure out is that Blair Adams didn't go down easy. He put up a fight, and his attacker had to struggle with him. This was a life and death situation, to the point where Blair had tufts of hair pulled out of his head. He had a number of defensive wounds. His hands were bloody. One of his hands had a pretty good sized cut on it. And it was on that hand that had the cut on it that police would recover a long strand of hair, which is basically the only physical evidence that they would have in this case. Now, we talked about the way that he was found. And because of that, there were some concerns, some theories, whatever words you want to use, that he may have been sexually assaulted after the attack took place.
Yeah, but they didn't get any results from the DNA swab, so they couldn't really confirm it one way or the other. I think it was more of an assumption.
Assumption based on the fact that he was found
no pants on.
Yeah.
And the particular area was known kind of for prostitution hangout because of how near it was to the truck stop.
And we mentioned early on the fact that, he was an alcoholic, but he was apparently clean. He was attending AA. They would do a toxicology report. It would show no drugs or alcohol in his system. Now we have to talk about the only witness in this case. And it was a security guard working at a site close to where the body was found that would later say about 3:30 a.m., he heard a loud scream that he said sounded like a female.
Some guys, when they scream, they have a higher pitched voice.
It depends on,
I mean, they do.
If I see a spider, man, you're going to hear the female. I'm jumping up on that couch.
You're screaming?
Yep.
You just don't like spiders, huh?
I'm just messing.
Spiders and beaches.
I don't like spiders, beaches, snakes. I don't like creepy crawlies a whole lot.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Get yourself a good knife, man. You can slice that stuff right up.
I don't have the knife skills that you do. We've talked about this.
You can develop them. It takes time.
I haven't worked on them.
Got to stab a few things here and there.
So we say witness, but even that's kind of a loose term. I didn't actually see anything, but heard something.
He's an ear witness.
Ear witness, not an eyewitness. But I think now, Gibbs, we have to back up. We have to talk about the things that led up to this July 11th day.
So in 1995, he was working for his stepfather, who owned a prefab construction company in Germany. So he left Canada, went over to Germany for a little bit, and worked with his stepfather, found a girl, they became boyfriend, girlfriend, and she would actually come out and say he was a super nice guy. But some of his coworkers over there said, he was pretty confrontational, and they would get in some fights.
And this is kind of at odds, right, with what I've already talked about, because in Canada, and maybe it's just Canadians, right? Canadians are so nice, they would never say anything bad. I don't know. But everything that you read or heard about his friends in Canada or coworkers in Canada, they had nothing but nice things to say about him. So it's interesting that these reports come out from his time in Germany.
So he eventually makes his way back home. And then, this is going to take us up to July 5th of 1996.
So we get to that July 5th day. There's some things that we know, right? Well, number one, we know this is only 6 days before his body's found. The other thing we know is that he goes to his bank, withdraws just about every dollar that he owns from his account in Canada. Was said to have been around $6,000.
About $12,000 in America.
That's not even close. But on top of that, and we kind of foreshadowed it, but he also removed all of his valuables from his safe deposit box, and he put them in his fanny pack. I mean, we know they're going to be found on his body.
You wear a fanny pack, don't you?
I do not wear a fanny pack.
I think you
Even
do.
in 96, I didn't wear a fanny pack.
You probably have multiple ones hanging in the closet that color coordinate with your members-only jacket.
I do like to coordinate. You got to have the mushroom belt.
The mushroom belt?
Mushroom
belt.
And again, these valuables, Gibbs, we're talking about thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, gold, platinum, bars even.
It's strange.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the act of somebody that is getting ready to go and not come back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a temporary thing.
Yeah, this is not I need some wham.
Yeah.
Some walking around money.
What would you put in your fanny pack besides Chipotle discount coupons?
First of all, it's Chipotle.
Yeah. Pardon me.
You think I need a fanny pack just to carry around all my Chipotle gift
I
cards?
don't know what else you'd have in there. Probably a tube of chapstick.
I don't wear a fanny pack. I'm sure there's people that wear one that are saying, God, you guys putting down people with fanny packs.
Got to put your iPhone somewhere.
I just don't wear one.
Yet.
Maybe they'll come back around.
You never know, man. Stranger Things.
And I'll pick. I do like that show. Did I tell you I started watching that show?
Did you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah. My daughter's got me in. I'm like 6 episodes in. It's really good.
That's pretty good.
Have you seen it?
No.
No. All right.
Everybody's watching it. So when everybody does everything, I do the opposite.
You don't watch it?
I don't watch it.
But he does. He takes everything out of his bank, and then he tells his mom, something's on his mind, something's really bothering him to the point where he needs to leave. He's going to go to Courtenay, British Columbia, to see his uncle. This is what he tells his mom.
Wants to talk to his uncle. For some reason, he wants to go see his uncle and talk to him about something.
But we never know why that is. What we do know is that when he gets there, he doesn't get to talk to his uncle because his uncle's not home. And then we fast forward a couple days to Sunday. This is the 7th of July. And he's driving his Chevy Chevette, and he's attempting to enter the United States. And he does this by taking a ferry from Victoria to Seattle. But he gets flagged by a customs officer. Because you got to figure, so Blair Adams traveling by himself with a whole bunch of money, and he's got a fanny pack full of valuables.
Yeah, something's up.
And they think something's up.
Yeah.
They think
they're suspicious.
Maybe this guy's a drug courier. They don't know what is going on, but they question him, and apparently he told them some lies, told them that he didn't have a criminal history, even though he did. I mean, he had some drug and assault charges in the past. But all of this results in them turning him away, not allowing him to enter the U.S.
We say, go back to Canada.
That's what they told him.
You hoser.
I don't know if they called him a hoser, but they told him to go back.
To the Great White North. So he was really nervous around this time because he was talking to his mom about it, and she would say this later. She remembers that he had an argument with one of the guys back on the Germany crew that he worked on, and this guy was on his way home. He was coming back to British Columbia, and this made Blair extremely nervous because he thought this guy was coming back to attack him, to come after him.
So obviously they didn't get along in Germany. We already know he's extremely paranoid. Is this just another thing that he was paranoid about, or was this really real? Was there danger here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like he definitely was pretty paranoid about a lot of things for some odd reason all of a sudden.
But I think that's part of the mystery, right? So this man that's coming back from Germany that he thinks is going to harm him, is that the root of some of the paranoia, or is that just a byproduct of him being paranoid in general?
Yeah.
That's one of the questions that I have.
Sure. And it's a good one.
And you can't answer it.
No.
So after he's turned away, denied entry into the U.S., he drives to Vancouver to see a girlfriend who it was said that he had just gotten back with. Apparently, Gibbs, he had been in a relationship. His mother would say in an interview that he had just gotten out of a relationship with a guy.
Yeah, she talked about it for a little bit and said they were really passionate and caring about each other. They would hang out together, giggle a lot, kind of like you would like back in high school, when you get all giggly with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever you had.
So it was a brief relationship, but apparently it was intense.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
There was a lot of feelings there, but it ended.
So after that, he decided he just wanted to go back to his previous girlfriend.
So he visits her.
Yep.
And then after that, he visits a female friend.
He does.
Nearby. And it would come out later that from this female friend that he actually was trying to get her to help him sneak into the U.S. or to get into the U.S.
I never knew it was so hard to
I know.
get in.
I thought back then you didn't have to sneak. You just walked across.
Yeah, it's Canada. Come on over, Canadian.
I mean,
folks.
this is 96. It's pre-2001, 9/11.
Yeah, just
You didn't even need a passport, I thought back then.
No, they're just coming over to get some warm weather.
I mean, when I lived in Detroit, we just walk across the bridge, go right into Canada.
What'd you go over there for, Mike?
Gambling.
Yeah. What else, Mike?
They had some stuff over
They
there.
had some stuff. Good times. LASIK surgery was a whole lot cheaper over there.
Was it?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
People used to go up there because they could get $300 an eye.
Oh, I have 2010, so I don't know anything about LASIK. But
Yeah, I don't know if they got quality
right, yeah,
for $300
sometimes you get
an
what
eye.
you pay for.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to my eyes, I'm not messing around.
I'd be paying top dollar.
There's no coupons. Whatever it is, it is. I'm not going to coupon. But this female friend, she doesn't want to do this, right? So she tells him no. But she would also come out and say that he mentioned to her that he was scared for his life because someone was after him trying to kill him. And again, Gibbs, is this mysterious guy that you're talking about that's on his way back from Germany that he had the tiff with?
Right.
I don't know.
And that's just the whole mystery behind this.
But after this visit, then he would head back to Surrey to his mother. But Gibbs, Blair Adams didn't have any mental illness reports. Right? He hadn't been diagnosed with anything, but he started again talking to his mom about some to her, what would be very strange things. He starts to talk to her about wanting to quit his new job already, right? This new job that he had gotten after coming back from Germany that he was working in Canada at. He was very anxious, talking to her about not wanting to live in his apartment, not even wanting to be in the general area.
So he was definitely spooked about something.
He really was. So on Monday, July 8th, he packs up again, says goodbye to his mother that morning, and that would be the last time that she would ever see Blair alive. And he's next spotted on the 9th trying to cross into the U.S. on foot. And there would be a police report made of this encounter because they're going to turn him away. But the police report mentions that, he had several scratches on his hands and legs. And apparently he matched the description of a man that had stolen a car that day. And he actually cops to this. He says, I stole a car in Vancouver. I abandoned it near the border, but they don't arrest him. They turn him around again and say, hey, go home. And something very strange happens after he's turned away this second time, trying to get into the U.S. He actually buys a ticket for a flight to Frankfurt, Germany. But for whatever reason, he changes his mind. And at the airport, he gets a refund on this, I think it was like $1,700 ticket. It was an expensive.
That's what happens when you buy at the last minute, you
Yeah,
know?
it was an expensive ticket. He gets his money back and he rents a Nissan and tries to drive into the U.S. And this time he actually makes it.
Yeah, he finally gets through.
And again, going back to your point, Gibbs, I never thought it was that hard.
I didn't either. I swear I think I could leave here now and be in Canada in 3 hours.
Well, it's definitely harder today. You have to have a passport or at least a pass card.
Well, I got several passports.
Well, I know you do. None of them have your real name on them.
Of course not.
So for you, I'm talking about a regular person.
Regular person? Yeah.
That doesn't have the Jason Bourne
Lockbox. Like I do,
lockbox,
with
yeah.
Multiple, yeah.
But back then you didn't need, to go to Canada, you didn't even need a pass card, passport, pass anything.
You just went on over.
Yeah, you just said, hey, they ask you what you're going over for.
They were happy to have you.
Yeah. And to come back. It wasn't that hard either, from what I remember. But he does. He makes it in and he drives directly to the Seattle airport. And from there, he buys a ticket to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, for $800, man.
Those are expensive tickets, man, in 1996.
Yeah. Well, he's buying it that day. Now, I did see something that if he would have purchased a ticket round trip instead of one way.
He is buying one-way tickets.
Yeah, if he would have bought it round trip, it would have been around $450. So he decided to be honest with the airport
and buy a one-way ticket.
I just want a one-way ticket.
And so on July 10th, he gets into Washington, D.C. about 6:45 in the morning, and he rents a Toyota Camry. But what does he do from there, Gibbs? He drives 7-8 hours to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just fly into Knoxville, Tennessee?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense, Or why? If eventually he wanted to get to Atlanta because he wanted to be there for the Olympic Games, why wouldn't you just fly into Atlanta? I'm sure that at least to the Knoxville airport, it had to be the same, if not cheaper, than flying to D.C. Maybe Atlanta could have been a little bit more. I doubt it, but I can't imagine spending that type of money.
And you mentioned the Olympics, Gibbs, and that is a theory that the police had, that he was making his way to Atlanta to be a part of not to be a part of it, but to attend the games. They were held there in 96. If you remember, that's the year of the bombing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, 96 was the year where they had the bombing in Atlanta at the Olympics, and that one guy got kind of smeared in the media. Remember, they thought he was like this major suspect. It turns out it wasn't him at all. And his life was essentially ruined. I can't even remember his name now. But most of this theory comes from Blair's mom coming out in the articles in the media saying that he had said something about wanting to go to the Olympics. So that's where police basically got that. But he's never going to get there. We know that his body is found in Tennessee. And on top of that, the Olympic Games, they didn't start for at least another week. So, there was quite a bit of time still for the games to even start. So he's on this drive from D.C. to the Knoxville area. And in Troy, Virginia, he ends up backing his rental car into another car, causing some minor damage. So that's one thing that is known, right, about his trip. Right. The next report is of him being seen at a gas station on Strawberry Plain Pike.
In Knox County, Tennessee.
He's in Tennessee, Knox County, around 5:30 p.m., and this is about 14 hours before he's going to be found dead. And the reason why this gas station sighting is important, or even known for that fact, is a service tech is called to come out to the gas station after someone calls saying that the key to their rental car would not work. This repair guy would come out, and it realized pretty quickly that Blair was trying to use the key from his previous rental car, from the Nissan, to start the Toyota, which I'm a little unsure about, Gibbs. He's been driving this Toyota from D.C. Yeah. And how does he turn this Nissan in without giving him the damn key?
Yeah, I'm back in the rental car days, because I used to work at one of the national car rental.
Well, of course you did.
But yeah.
Did you pick people up?
I did, and dropped them off and all that stuff. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, when I was going to college, make a little money. Sometimes they would get two set of keys on the ring. So maybe he kept one. But the weird thing was, so the repair guy says, "Hey, this is the Nissan key. It's not going to work." And he asked, "Where's the Toyota key?" The weird thing is that Blair says, "I don't have a Toyota key. I don't know what you're talking about." And the guy's like, "You had to have the key. That's what got you here."
Yeah, you couldn't have driven here without it.
So you need to check your pockets. And Blair refuses to check for it. Says, "I don't have the key." So the manager of the gas station calls for a tow truck. And the tow truck comes. The tow truck driver hooks the car up, takes the car back to the rental place. But on the way, nearby was a hotel. And the tow truck driver is going to drop him off there so that he can stay at that hotel. And I think it's a Fairfield Inn hotel, which is kind of like a Courtyard by Marriott type of hotel.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't
I'm
stay in
not good at comparing.
You don't stay in a lot of hotels when you travel?
No, I do. I can't tell you what one is comparable to another.
You stay at enough of them, you realize what they're, the good ones and the bad ones. Fairfield's not a bad one. It's a good one.
All right. I'll take your word
For
for
a
it.
business traveler.
Well, I know you're a businessman.
I'm a businessman.
Get me somebody. And get me somebody while I'm waiting.
That's right.
So he gets to this Fairfield Inn and he gets a room for the night. He gives the desk clerk a $100 bill. And this is around 7 p.m. And apparently he walks off, doesn't even get his change for this $100.
That's how I do everything, man.
Just a microphone drop, walk off.
That's what you do. Of course, normally they're waiting for me to give them more money because I didn't pay the balance on it.
Yeah, you kind of do it the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like,
sir, the room's 220, not 100.
yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
I don't need anything.
Call
back.
it even. I'll see you tomorrow when I check out.
But he doesn't. He doesn't even wait for his change. The clerk would even say that he would call his room. There would never be any answer. And there is some hotel security camera footage from this time period, and it shows him going in and out of the hotel, the front door, about 5 times in a 40-minute period.
That's one paranoid dude.
He's very paranoid. The front desk employees are going to come out later and say that he seemed extremely paranoid about something. And one hotel employee would be quoted as saying the best way to describe him would be paranoid, nervous, agitated, like he was expecting someone to come in on him even though there was no one there. I don't know who he was waiting for, but he was waiting for somebody to walk in. And that sounds like maybe what you see on the video footage is it's almost like he's going out to scan to see, is there anybody out there? And then he comes back in.
He had a similar MO to Israel Keys. Fly out of Seattle area, West Coast, whatever, over East Coast, one way, drive a rental car, hide your little whatever.
Actually, it's very similar in the modes of transportation.
Yeah.
But not what this guy's going to do. But you're right.
But yeah, I just kind of hit me there.
It is very similar, actually. But the strange thing about this is, so he pays the money for the room, but he leaves the hotel around 7:37 p.m. without ever even going to the room. So obviously that's why the clerk's calling. He's never going to answer. He never even went to the room. Now there would be a witness that would come forward saying that he saw Adam at a nearby truck stop looking at tattoo magazines and talking with some man about Canadian money. They were discussing Canadian money, I guess this witness would say.
Pretty hot subject, Canadian money.
Loonies and I don't even know
I
what
know
all
what
those.
they are.
I think a loonie is part of it.
Wonder what this magazine would cost in Canadian money, eh?
Doesn't it usually tell you on there? Like with a book, doesn't it say U.S. Canadian?
Oh, maybe it does.
I thought a lot of them do.
Some of them do, yeah. Without the hay after it.
Anyway, I get your point. The discussion would have been riveting.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. And then there would be 2 women that would come forward later as well saying that they saw Blair that same night in Cracker Barrel with a man. So multiple witnesses claim that they saw Blair Adams with a man. Now, we don't know if this is the same man in each instance, but the autopsy is later going to show that the contents of his stomach consisted of lettuce, shrimp, and some other type of meat.
Some mystery meat.
Some mystery meat. So he definitely ate Gibbs either at Cracker Barrel, at the truck stop, or somewhere.
Yeah.
He ate something. I mean, we know what he ate. We're not 100% sure where he ate it.
Yeah, but I think by the autopsy, they know they ate it that night around that time frame.
They could tell, yeah.
By how much has been digested.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about it a little bit earlier on, about this truck stop, right? It was known for prostitution of all different types. So that's something that the police start to look into. One of the things that they come out and say is that they don't believe that his death had anything to do with a drug deal.
Which is good that they say that, because if you think about it, that I-75 corridor right there, that was a pretty busy junction for the drugs to be transported up from the south, Mexico. They would come up through that way, up through the 75 to go all the way up to where you used to live in Detroit.
Detroit. Got to get to Detroit somehow. Detroit City. So I'm just surprised that they were able to give that clearance, because you would think that maybe that's why someone would drew a lot of cash and money, was to purchase large sums of marijuana and take it back to the Canadian side or some other drug. Yeah.
Or some other drug and double up, triple up.
Well, whatever it was in their investigation, they kind of ruled that part out. They probably didn't find any evidence that supported it. But it's the following morning that Blair's body is discovered. And again, inside a parking lot. It's about half a mile from the motel. We talked about how he was found. Just to reiterate, no pants, shirts ripped, shoes are off. His socks were found, and they were turned inside out. We didn't mention that before. It gives you kind of had a theory about if somebody else were to take off somebody's socks. You mentioned it to me earlier when we were talking. Probably not that surprising that they would be turned inside out, maybe.
No, we actually tried it.
We reenacted
it.
We
reacted it. Yeah, we stopped, though. Thank goodness.
Before it went too far. They do find the key to his rental car, the Toyota, not very far from his body. And again, spread out around his body was more than $4,000 in cash. And we didn't really go into the details because I wanted to save a little bit. But $4,000 in cash spread out, plain sight, made up of American, Canadian, and German currency.
Yeah, it's just really weird, man, to have that much cash floating around, and that we know the gold and the jewel,
Right, I was going to say, that wasn't even all of it, because we mentioned...
Nobody takes it.
The bag of gold, jewelry, everything that he had taken out of his safe deposit box. And we mentioned the fact that police initially thought that maybe he was sexually assaulted, but there was no physical evidence to support that. So one of the theories that comes out is that, was it a sex act that was beginning or going to happen, and for whatever reason didn't progress? And instead, Blair was killed.
Yeah, so, could it have been a murder of passion? So we say he was killed, but could he have been robbed? I mean, he could have, even though we've got $4,000 in loose bills and who knows how much in gold and platinum and silver and everything laying in the fanny pack. But maybe he had something even more valuable on him, and we just don't know that. And maybe they took that and left this other stuff behind to throw police off.
Well, that's the only way it would make sense, is if he had something that was so valuable that it made sense to take that but leave everything else. I don't know. It's really hard. Why wouldn't you just take it all?
Well, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I would think the same thing, but maybe he just had something that somebody really wanted, like the ring from Lord of the Ring. Precious.
Now you're reaching now.
That's all he wanted, was that.
Now, the police did take a hair sample from the tow truck driver, but there was no match. Because we mentioned earlier, there was some hair found in one of Blair's hands. So they were testing the tow truck driver. He didn't match. So this is why it's such a mystery. Because you have a man from Canada, leaves abruptly from his home, takes all of his valuables, basically everything of worth that he owns, allegedly maybe on his way to the Olympic Games in Atlanta, stops in Knoxville, has this key issue that we talked about, rents a room at a hotel that he never stays in.
Bizarre.
Winds up dead, is found the next day with probably $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 worth of money, combination, jewelry, valuable stuff. None of it's taken. Who kills a man and doesn't take stuff in plain sight that they can see is worth a whole bunch of money?
Yeah, it just doesn't add up. So many bizarre things. Why wouldn't he, if he had the Toyota key, why wouldn't he use it?
Why would he say he didn't have? Why would he tell the tow truck driver that he doesn't have it?
Right.
So that his car gets towed.
It just,
and that's what we say. It's a bizarre story, and I think the facts of the case are interesting.
very interesting.
But you're talking about a person that was exhibiting some very unusual, bizarre behavior ahead of this. So, I mean, was he becoming unstable? Was he losing it? Did he suffer some huge attack of paranoia and just say, hey, I got to get out of here, and meet the wrong person, and that person ended his life? Or was there something to really be paranoid about, and somebody really was after him and they caught up with him? Now it's strange that they would catch up with him in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That part's very strange
really
to
strange.
me.
Of all places.
They would have to have somehow been following his movements, and that would be very odd.
Yeah.
But then you talk about, so if it's not that, then it has to be a random murder, right? If it's not this person that he's been afraid of, it has to be random. But if it's somebody that's random,
Why wouldn't they take the money?
why would they take the money?
I mean, I don't know how much that valuables were, but I would have to say it had to be probably $20,000 worth of gold and
I don't know.
platinum.
I don't know if it's that much. All in, I thought somebody estimated 6 to 8.
All in?
I thought. I could be wrong.
Maybe 20,000 in today's money.
Yeah. You just got to get a calculation in there.
Yeah. But still, I mean, why wouldn't you just grab the fanny pack and run?
Well, yeah, if it's a random person, whether that is one of the sex workers from the truck stop, whether it was this individual that Blair Adams was talking to at the
I guess
truck stop?
They could have got spooked off and thought somebody was coming and ran off and
didn't have time to take the money
and didn't come back.
But who would they have been spooked off? We said the only witness that came forward wasn't even really a witness. It was somebody that heard something.
And we know that he heard something around 3:30, and then the body wasn't discovered until 7:00 the next day. So that's 3.5 hours of it.
And you're in a parking lot that is really not being used, right? It's a parking lot of something that's under construction.
Right.
It's not like people are pulling in and out of this parking lot.
No.
It's not even really a parking lot yet.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's those types of rabbit holes that drive you crazy because you just can't figure out. There's no rhyme or reason behind.
There's not. And a lot of the ones that we've been doing recently, Gibbs, I've really kind of felt like I knew what happened.
Yeah.
Now, justice wasn't done or there was no resolution, but I felt like in my gut, I knew.
We probably had the right party, the guilty party.
Yeah, more than likely, I knew who did it.
Yeah.
This one is just a straight up mystery. And you talk about solving things. How would you ever solve this?
I don't know. I don't know if you ever could.
Unless somebody just comes forward someday and says, you know what? I did it.
But since you don't have really any good physical evidence, one strand of long hair, that doesn't mean anything. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The fact that it was curled up in his hand.
Yeah.
You could really make something out of that, how would it get in there if it wasn't from the perpetrator?
True.
Probably as a result of some scuffle or something like that. But
it's a tough one.
Yeah. I don't know. But it is one of those very mysterious, unsolved cases.
Yeah.
Almost probably more baffling, the mystery part of it.
Yeah. Just
the unexplained.
The unraveling of those last 72 hours or so, or even the week, of what went on at home.
Because even if it turned out that we found out who it was, and it was somebody that didn't know him at all, somebody that he just met right there at the truck stop.
Sure. Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like you said, they got scared off. They didn't have time to take the money. it still wouldn't explain all the stuff that happened.
Yeah, that led up to that event.
Right. The key that he said he didn't have when he obviously did. He rents a room, then he never goes up to it, never takes his stuff up there.
Yeah.
All of that stuff happened prior to the murder. So even if you knew who it was, how would you explain all this other stuff?
Bizarre.
All right, Gibbs, we got some voicemails. You want to check them out?
Yeah, let's hear some voicemails and send more voicemails too while you're at it.
You know, speaking of bizarre, we had what I would consider one of the most bizarre voicemails we've ever had.
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
So I'm going to play that.
Yeah, this should be good.
Hello, Michael Ferguson and Michael Gibson. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I am a real fan. I hope someday we can meet face to face to face. Stay safe and keep your own time tick-tock, 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 ticking. Ha ha ha, slightly smiling face. Warmest regards, a friend.
All right, so just a slight bit spooky. Now, the first time I heard it, I've listened to it a bunch of times. The first time I heard it, spooked me a little bit.
Sure.
But I looked at the email, and it was actually sent, and I got a kick out of this. It was sent from AFROG, AFROG. Then, like, in the middle was a D with an apostrophe, and then AMON, AFROG Demon.
AFROG Demon.
Demon. So I got a kick out of that. And I know it's somebody playing around. And
I thought it was that really smart guy.
Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, I thought Stephen Hawkins was dropping us a line.
Hey, maybe Stephen Hawking likes the show. I don't know.
This is Stephen.
That is a horrible impersonation.
I know, that's why I stopped. I stopped halfway.
But anyway, it was spooky, and then I got a kick out of it. And
They're probably Team Fergie.
I hope so. This is the person that you want to be on your side?
Yeah, I think they're Team Fergie.
What's up, Gibby, Fergie? It's Em again. Just wanted to call and say I'm super, super excited because Christmas, getting a bit more money. I finally got to up my pledge. I'm thrilled about that. And one thing I really want to say is that, I'm about to go back to school, have some time off, and I'm moving in about 2 weeks. And I'm super excited for it. But one thing is that I know in the beginning, not knowing anybody, brand new place, it's probably going to be kind of lonely. But one thing I know is that you guys are always there for all of us. And you really feel like friends to all of us, I think. And so one thing that I know for sure is that even if I feel a little bit lonely, I know you guys are always going to be there, always going to be there to make me laugh. So thank you guys. Bye.
So great voicemail from M. And M always cracks me up because that's what I call my daughter.
You do?
Yeah, my daughter's name's Emmy.
Yeah, I know.
I always call her M. So, but yeah, we love M. And
yeah, she's great.
It makes us feel good that people think of us that way. And again, I say it all the time. Anything that we do that helps somebody in any small way, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And good luck with the new digs.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be there.
One way or the other.
One way or the other, in some form or fashion.
Hi, guys. It's Monica from Victoria, BC. Just wanted to say how much I love your podcast. I just discovered it probably about 2 weeks ago and am addicted. And you want to know what people do when they're listening to it? I love to cook, so I'm usually creating my masterpieces in the kitchen, making my dinners every night, listening to you guys. Tonight, I rang in the new year, had my earbuds in, listening to the Pork Chop Bob episode, which I loved, and I made the mistake of letting my husband listen to the part about what Willie's mom did to that poor 14-year-old boy, and he never gave back my iPhone. He listened to the rest of the episode, and he's not into podcasts, but he used to have a friend that lived right next door to Willie Picton in Poco, and they said they used to hear the music and look over the balcony and see the lights of the piggy farm bar that they had set up there, so he thought that was pretty cool. Anyways, keep on doing what you guys do. It's fantastic. Love you guys. and have a Happy New Year. Bye.
Well, that's a timely voicemail, Gibbs, from Victoria, BC, since I think we talked about that in the episode.
Yeah, that was kind of cool in a weird way.
In a weird way.
But I'm glad Monica called, and it's cool that we're cooking with her.
Yeah, and she's getting her husband into it a little bit.
Yeah, bastard took your earbuds away and your phone. What are you going to do? You know how you take care of that, Monica? Get a K-bar.
Just ask him to get you another set.
Yeah, just don't ask him if he ate any of that hamburger or sausage over there by that farm.
You know, you don't solve every situation with the K-bar, Gibbs.
You'd be surprised.
I didn't say you couldn't. I said you shouldn't or don't. You can probably.
Yeah, you do you, I do me.
Hey, Mike and Gibby, this is Tiffany from Iowa. I just wanted to say hey, and thanks for the amazing podcast that you guys created. I also wanted to give a shout out to my friend Rachel, who will undoubtedly be at my desk after she hears this. Thanks, and keep your own time ticking. Bye.
Great voicemail from Tiffany, short and sweet. And Rachel, if you're at her desk right now,
scream.
Scream.
Go,
hi to you. No, we appreciate it so much.
Hey guys, my name's Augusto Andrade and I'm calling from Fresno, California. I just want to thank you guys for keeping me entertained. I have a 2.5 commute every morning and on the way back, so about 5 hours. So you guys keep me entertained pretty good. Love what you guys do. Mixed emotions on different podcasts. Some are good and some are bad. And I just want to thank you guys. Keep up the good work. Greetings from California.
2.5 hour commute, Gibbs.
And he probably has to go 5 miles.
It depends on where he's at in California.
He probably listened to Tupac. What's that song Tupac did about California?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, you don't know this stuff.
Why do you start down a path when you don't know the answer?
Because I figure you clean up for me really well.
You can't just say whatever you want and just assume that somebody's going to clean it up.
I know it was a popular song back in the day.
I'm sure it was. I actually was not into Tupac.
Weren't you?
No, I think by the time Tupac came, I had switched genres.
You probably were in a Biggie.
No, they were in the same.
I think you were in the Biggie. That's why when the war went down, you picked your side.
East Coast.
East Coast.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Renee from Reno, Nevada. I just want to say what a great podcast you guys put out. You keep me working faster. I have a house cleaning, pet sitting business, and I'm always working, and you keep me going on these podcasts. I just love them and all the work you do on them. I just want to thank you so much, and keep it up and keep your own time a ticking. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
We make sure that vacuuming just doesn't suck.
Exactly. That should be our tagline.
Is that our tagline?
Yeah, I was thinking about Reno 911. Did you ever watch Reno 911?
Oh, yeah.
I used to love that show.
It was good stuff, man.
It cracked me up. All right, great voicemails. That's it, Gibbs.
All right.
Another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.